Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and today I'm bringing to you a declutter. This is going to be my last declutter for 2019 and I'm just purging things that either don't work for me or I don't care to make work for me. So let's go ahead and talk about some makeup. So let's go ahead and start with complexion. Some of these are going to be familiar to you because I've talked about them in like my bottoms of my month in review or like my faves and fails videos. So the first product is the I Heart Revolution Coconut Dream Primer. This is a hydrating primer with vitamin C and E, and I've talked about this in videos past. I really wanted this to be the First Aid Beauty Coconut Smoothie Hydrating Primer, but it's not. It's essentially like a moisturizer, and that part is fine. I think it probably primes the skin as well as any moisturizer does, and upon initial application, it does smell like coconut. However, as I continue to apply it to the skin and work it into the skin, it starts smelling very, very sour. And while smells are not always a deal breaker for me, it is in this case. I just don't like it. I think it stinks. I don't think it does enough for my skin in terms of priming for me to hold on to it. I did use a good like half of it. I think it's about like right here. Trying to make this work for me, trying to get over the smell, but I do have so many beautiful things, including primers that I love I don't need to hold on to this one. And you're going to see kind of a theme of I like other things better, therefore I don't need to keep the one that I don't like. I have two eyeshadow primers, unfortunately. The first one is the NYX eyeshadow base in white. This is a little potted eyeshadow primer. There's nothing wrong with this one. It just so happens, where did you go? I just saw you. There you are. It just so happens that I much prefer the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk. This is essentially the same thing as this. This is just a lot easier to draw onto the lid exactly where I want it and blend it out, whereas this I have to dig into the little pot and sometimes I get too much. I just don't like this. It's been sitting around in my collection for long enough, so I'm hoping to find it a new home. With most of these things, unless I say otherwise, I am hoping to rehome them to other makeup lovers in my life. Another product that I tried when I was on the hunt for a new eyeshadow primer, my primer potion just stopped working for me, and so I tried a couple of different ones. I was hoping to find an affordable primer that worked for me, and so I picked up the Essence I Heart Stage eyeshadow base. This is essentially like a concealer, and more often than not, concealer does not work for me as an eyeshadow base. I have creasing, I have like my eyeshadow just wears away. I don't know where it goes, if it absorbs into the eyelid or what it does, but this didn't work for me. I'm not too heartbroken about it because it's inexpensive, and possibly maybe somebody with drier eyelids might find this useful, or who knows. I don't know. I'm not going to try and to determine where they're gonna go, but they are going. Talking about face products, the first thing I'm going to purge from my collection is the Cover FX glitter drops in the shade Nova. I got these in a BoxyCharm. They're like super glitter. It doesn't look very nice on the eyelid, and I should have never opened these. I had an inclination that I probably wasn't going to be using these when I got them in BoxyCharm, but I opened them anyways as a means of, excuse the leftover swatch underneath, I wanted to use them. I wanted to demonstrate them, and so I opened them, and now I haven't used them practically since. So maybe a teenager or someone else in my life might like those. And then the other product I'm going to purge is the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops in the shade Moonlight. This is a really pretty product. However, it is very, very hard to work with. It dries down so fast that you don't really have any time to put it on your face and blend it out at all. So I don't know what's going to happen to these, but I don't need to keep them in my collection. I have highlighters, even liquid and cream highlighters that I love, that perform beautifully and aren't such a hassle to apply. And this was like, I don't know if this came in a Sephora Play or I got it as a point perk or what have you, but I don't need those. Next is another product from BoxyCharm. You may see a theme in some of these products, and it is the Note Luminous Silk Compact Blusher. This is one product that when I think of decluttering, immediately I think of this product right here. This is actually a really beautiful color, but it's extremely pigmented, and it scares me, if I'm being honest. The reason I'm confident in getting rid of the Note product is that I have this more orangey coral blush from ABH right here, and this is a more forgiving. I think this has a bit more brown to it. I don't like the formula. That's too scary, but these from ABH blend out like a dream. So I feel confident in getting rid of this one because I know I'm not going to use it. I haven't used it once in 2019, which is why it has to go. All right, last complexion product is a highlighting palette. You would have seen this very recently in a palette regrets video, which I will link up in the eye for you. This is the Urban Decay Afterglow palette. This was very much an impulse purchase on Black Friday, not this year, 2 years ago, I think. And it was half off, so it was like $16, and I was like, heck, 4 Urban Decay highlighters for only $16 seemed like a fantastic deal to me. I just don't love the formula here. They're kind of chunky and powdery. They don't blend out well on my skin, and they absolutely emphasize any bit of texture that I have on my skin. My bestie Jess and I both purchased this palette, and we were both really excited about it because it was such a good deal. And this is a lesson learned. Just because something's a good deal doesn't mean that it's right for you to purchase it, or for me personally, and this was a fail. All right, we're gonna do lippies right after a couple of other eye type products. One is the Extreme Lasting Eye Pencil Waterproof in the shade Nighttime in the Jungle. I need to replace this right away. This is a jungly green, a dark green eyeliner, and I love the color of this, but it's one of those soft pencils. It's not a wood, but it's like the soft, hopefully you know what I mean. It's a soft material. Unfortunately, when it sharpens, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it sharpens to where there's sharp bits of the wood sticking up around the pencil lead, if you will, and I've poked myself one too many times with this thing, so I'm actually going to toss this one. I'm not going to be passing it on to anyone. I don't want to cause eye injury to anybody in my life, or not in my life. So, but I do need to replace this right away. I'm having trouble finding the exact color that I want. I want a deep green, but a lot of the deep greens that I've been seeing have glitter in them, and I'm not into that for eyeliner. And then the other thing is the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Yogurt. And this is a beautiful product. I actually really love this. And it's not that I don't like it, it's that I don't need it. And the reason I don't need it is because I have this potted cream shadow from Maybelline. It's the color Tattoo Studio in the shade Socialite. And this is a very, wow, those are almost dupey. It's a very similar concept, but I like this better. The NYX one does tend to crease on me a little bit throughout the day, So I'm happy using this one because these lock in for the day on my eyes and I don't need two. And this is getting older, so I'd like to pass it on to someone, maybe my bestie. She is a super mom and she leaves very early from her home in the morning, and while she loves makeup, she doesn't have a lot of time for it. So maybe that's something that she could use and just, you know how it works. Okay, let's go ahead and talk lippies, and then I do have a few eyeshadow palettes to declutter. First is a lipstick from Estee Lauder. I believe this is the last one that I have left in my collection. And you guys, I just don't use these. Anyhow, it's a beautiful color. I just don't reach for this one because I have my all-time favorite NARS Velvet Matte Lip Pencil in the shade Let's Go Crazy. I think this is a beautiful color and I think it would look beautiful on some of my family and friends. So that one will be up for grabs. Next is a lipstick from a brand that I do not support, as well as it's a formula I don't like. This is the Kat Von D, what do they call it? Studded Kiss lipstick in the shade Mother. I used to like this shade. I guess I like the shade. I don't like the formula. It's not comfortable. This contraption right here, the component, is garbage. No matter how little you roll it up, the bullet wants to break off. And so overall, because I don't support the brand and because I don't like the formula, I'm going to let that go. Next is the ColourPop Lippy Stick in the shade Frenchie. This is a really pretty color. I also like the formula. This is their matte formula. It's kind of a warmer red and it just looks kind of funky on me, for lack of a better way to put it. It's a very orangey red, and with my very warm undertone, almost olive, I just don't think that this looks nice on me. I prefer a blue-based red or more toward the neutral side of red, so I'm gonna let that one go. This one is a Burt's Bees lipstick that was in my November Shop My Stash. It is in the shade Suede Splash, and it is a nice nude. It just has kind of a weird undertone that, again, I don't think looks overly flattering on my skin, and I have nude lipsticks galore and formulas that I absolutely love and am obsessed with, so I'm gonna let that one go. And then the last three are products that I received in a giveaway, and they just aren't products that are meant for me. The first one is the Smashbox Always On Liquid Lipstick in the shade Driver's Seat. I like the color. I don't like the formula, or at least not this one. I think it might just be old, if I'm being honest, through no fault of the person whose giveaway I won. It's a really pretty color, but I don't need it, and I do have shades close to this. So this is another one I'll be checking because I think it's dried out. The next one is the Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit Metallic Lipstick in the shade Ride On My Copper. I don't know what that means. And I'm just not into metallic lips. It's a pretty shade, but it's also kind of sheer and just not my thing. As well, here, it's right here. As well as I'm just not overly into liquid lipsticks. I'm one that I like to have just a couple around for specific purposes, in specific shades, but overall I'm not into it. And then one that I think my daughter will take off my hands rather willingly is the Winky Lux Disco Gloss in the shade Foxy. It's not orange, it's really mostly just sheer, and it has some warm tone glitters in it, and it smells really nice. I just don't reach for glittery glosses very often. It's right here. And it's pretty, so why should it sit around in my collection when I know my daughter would love to have this, and probably other people as well. So I'm gonna let that one go. Then I have a couple of eyeshadow palettes. One is staying in my home, but I am decluttering it from my collection. It's this little Lancome Color Design palette. I actually like this palette, but it is so perfect for my daughter's dance makeup, for stage makeup for her that I'm putting it in her dance makeup bag, and that is where it will stay. I really love the compilation of shades in here. The only one we don't use on her is the sparkly one because we don't use sparkly shadows for stage makeup. So that's going to go and live in her dance makeup bag. And then the one that we previously had in there for her dance makeup, I am going to declutter from our home. It's the Pretty Vulgar Nightingale eyeshadow palette. Nothing at all wrong with this palette. I love the way it's set up, and the formula is fine. It's not my favorite by any means, but it's not a bad formula. And I like the cool tones in here, but I have cool tones in my collection that I much prefer, and I don't need duplicate shades, which is why I had put it in her dance bag to begin with. Another little guy is this Pixie by Petra Mesmerizing Mineral Duo in the shade Orchid Ornament. These are really actually beautiful shadows. I don't know if you'd be able to see any swatches now that I'm covered in stains, but here they are right here. Again, beautiful shades. I just don't need that in my collection. Again, they're probably duplicate shades, and so I just don't need little things like this floating around. I have things that I use for travel, so I don't need it for that, and it's going. The last BoxyCharm product for this declutter is the Ace Beauté Grandiose palette. Again, I like this formula. I like it a whole lot, but the fact that I haven't reached for this one time in 2019 tells me that it would be better off living somewhere else. And I think the only reason I haven't reached for this is because I have all these shades again. And so that's kind of the name of the game with palettes and things like that today, is that I'm kind of trying to purge myself of duplicate things, especially duplicates that I'm not reaching for. So this one is going. It is beautiful, and it does have a phenomenal formula, so I'm sure someone will enjoy that. The next one is the Milani Pure Passions palette. I've spoken about this in I believe it was in my palettes I regret purchasing video. Beautiful color story, but too specific of a color story, if I'm being honest. Anytime that I've used this palette, all the looks pretty much come out looking the same. And these especially this one, is just very chunky and glittery, and it falls all over the place. I don't know. I think these three shades are just too similar, and that's part of why I'm not drawn to actually using this palette. But I do think it could find a home in someone else's collection who maybe loves this color story, or, doesn't care about the variety or what have you. And just like I said, I don't love the formula of this one. I feel like the mattes, especially the darker mattes, are very dry, and I'm not into that. It tends to get patchy for me, and also really powdery shadows like that a lot of times don't last on my eyes. So goodbye. Last one that sort of hurts my heart to get rid of. One, because it's from a brand that I love, and two, because it was from a person that I love. But I have to be real with myself and my larger collection, that I can't just hold on to things because they're special to me, because they were a thoughtful gift, and so on. If I don't use it, it's going to waste if I'm not passing it on to someone else. So the palette I'm talking about is the Lorac California Dreaming palette. My beautiful little sister, Emma, gave this to me for Christmas 2 years ago, I think. And I love the Lorac formula. I don't know as if I would say this is 100% consistent with what I've experienced in the Mega Pro palette or the Unzip palette. And also, these are very light on me. These obviously are very light. This one's very light on me. And for whatever reason, I just don't reach for this one. It doesn't call my name. And as much as I love it and I enjoy seeing it in my drawer, and it's from a brand that I love, I just can't keep holding on to it because it's special to me. So this one's going to find a new home and hopefully be special to somebody else. And that, my friends, is it. That is my final declutter for 2019. Just because I'm getting rid of these things does not mean I'm buying things to replace them or to fill their storage gaps or what have you. I have purchased way too much, aka a lot, in November and December for myself for Christmas, and you know, it will be nice to have the space to tuck those things away and whatnot, but mostly I just want to get rid of the things that aren't working for me, that I'm not going to reach for, and so that someone else can use them. I know that declutters can be somewhat controversial, and if decluttering is not the way to go for you, then I support that 100%. There are things that I don't love that I do choose to pan, you know, unofficially, and there are things that I think would just be better suited for someone else, and that was the case today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I thank each and every single one of you who chooses to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as watch my videos. And with all of that said, I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video real soon.